Yes. So when you look around and realize that the thoughts of worry don't match your current present state, then you're like, okay, what is going on? And so here, difficult experiences in childhood. Well, first, let me read the question. What is the main cause of anxiety? Difficult experiences in childhood, adolescence, or adulthood are a common trigger for anxiety problems. Going through stress and trauma when you were very young is likely to have a particular big impact. Okay? Experiences can trigger anxiety problems, including things like physical or emotional abuse. So, as I've talked about how I had experienced a traumatic event in my childhood, when I was a kid, I always felt like I couldn't be still in the space that I was in, especially when I was at home. So I would leave that environment. I would leave my house 10 times probably, just to, I couldn't be still. And so, of course, during my journey of awakening and understanding my behaviors, I had realized that that was one of the ways I was protecting myself, right? So it's like, I don't feel safe. Let me move right now. It was like an impulsive response. It was like that was just causing me to get into this state of like, okay, I'm anxious. I can't be still. I got to get up and I got to move. So, I wanted to share that with you guys because, not being able to be still, was a response of that anxiety. Like, I need to move. And the reason for it was the trauma. It's like, I don't feel safe, right? But when it becomes, like I said, 10 times a day over a period of years, that's going to create a pattern of response, right? You automatically stepping into the space of, it's like a default, right? It's just like you're no longer thinking about, okay, this isn't safe. What is the next thing I should do? I should get up and leave. But it's just like, it's almost like an imbalance, right? That causes you to just respond that way at the slightest view of what could appear as fear. So it was this constant. And so, of course, as I got in my, as I got older, as I was a teen and going into my young womanhood, I was understanding like I was like a runner. I was running from situations prematurely. And so pausing and understanding like, well, it's easy when you're one person and you can get yourself to move. But now if you have children, like you can't do that, right? So as I was awakening and understanding that it was such a default response, life experiences were happening that required for me to be present, so I couldn't respond that way no more. And those are the reasons where I started to go, well, why am I responding that way? Things are safe. Why am I? So it was almost like some kind of response that had just been embedded in me, right? And then it was just like I was just doing it and then realize how I didn't have so much control in it until I was like, wait. So this is why I wanted to share with you guys how you should take those behaviors that are, or responses seriously. Take them seriously enough to explore them, right? Because it's not the true state of who you are. And so even though say you've experienced trauma, right? Say that Now the thing is, knowing it's the first part, but it's not enough, it's not all. Now you want to know, well, what has it done to me? Is it making me fearful? Is it causing me to be extremely timid? Is it causing me to not use my voice to speak up and to defend myself, to create healthy boundaries? How is it to learn to separate which part of you is the true you, the authentic you, and which part of you is like a manifestation of a version of you that had to come about to survive your environment, to survive a traumatic event. So it's about shedding off the layers of the onion, like getting to the core, right? The journey to return to self, you have to return to the true self. Who is the true self, right? What is at your core? Is it the responses? Like if someone say, oh, you are, if someone was to describe you, would they describe you as someone who's anxious, someone who's not able to stay still, right? That wasn't my true state. But what I've learned as I've begun questioning it was, as I return to my true state, I'm much calmer. By nature, I am calm. And this is where I refuel myself. This is where I stand powerfully grounded within myself. This is where I know the truth of me. And so I pay attention when I find that I am kind of like uneasy. What is this uneasy? And because I have become more aware of responses that are not natural because they are overactive, I looked further into them, right? I look further into why would I respond this way and not that way? Because I had become aware of having different spaces to step into. There isn't this just run or fight response. There are so many other spaces you can step into, which I call the in-between spaces. And because I had become aware of the in-between spaces, that I was able to say, well, I've done this for so long. Why did I do that? I've responded this way for so long. Why did I do that? And of course, as you call stuff also from the past to understand those triggers, responses, you start to realize, oh, okay, this was out of impulse, right? So I want to go into that right now. There's so much stuff that I had read about anxiety. I would suggest you go ahead and read about it. And at the same time, I want to say, like, before I go right into impulsiveness, being impulsive, and how there's a connection between that and anxiety, I want to read a little bit of information again about anxiety. So let's do that first. What does anxiety do to a person? Anxiety can make you feel worried or scared. Anxiety can cause physical symptoms such as fast heartbeat or sweating. Okay? So this is one information right there. Also, it says anxiety disorders are the most common of mental disorder and affect nearly 30% of adults at some point in their lives. Okay? Yeah, so we want to know all this information. Okay, here it says, what does anxiety feel like? Okay? Nervousness, restlessness, being tense, feelings of danger, panic. Okay, here, common anxiety signs and symptoms include having increased heart rate, trembling, feeling weak or tired, breathing rapidly. There was something else that I wanted to share. And of course, there are like tools on how to heal anxiety and how to handle anxiety, and you know, if you're having an anxiety attack, how to assist yourself through that moment, right? A big event or buildup of smaller stressful life situations may trigger excessive anxiety. So the question I had typed in is, what triggers anxiety? And it says a big event or a buildup of smaller stressful life situations may trigger excessive anxiety. For example, a death in the family, work stress, or ongoing worry about finances. I can guarantee you, okay, and the last couple of years, the ongoing worry about finances for me was so present that, you know, I can say this is where it had led, this is what had led me to be in this state of like anxiety and worried and not knowing, like, you know, and of course having gone through divorce and not being in the same house with my children every day, you know, and because of my traumatic event, I had this constant worry of like, of course, how do I keep me safe? And then, you know, when you have children as a parent, just regardless, how do you keep your children safe? And how do you provide for them when you're not there every day? And so just having those worried thoughts, and then it was constant. So learning to pull back and look at it as external from the real you, the soul you, the centered you, right? Looking at it from outside of like, this is not who I really am. Why am I responding this way? Or why am I constantly worried? And understanding that it's because of an event that had caused you to view things a certain way. And so then you have to go in and change that view, that that danger is not everywhere, and that we are protected, that we are provided for, that we are sufficient. There is no better protector for your children than God, because I believe in God. And so learning to address those thoughts, those worried thoughts, however your anxiety is showing up, I would say take it seriously enough to understand and to allow yourself to do the work of understanding what it is and begin the healing process, changing the dialogue that's happening in your mind. Or if it's finding solutions, if it's financial solutions, what are the steps you can take to improve your finances so you can reduce the stress, so you can reduce anxiety, so you can get rid of anxiety, okay? So there is one more, I believe, that I want to read about anxiety. I hope it doesn't take me too long to find it. Okay, here it says, can anxiety damage the brain? Anxiety and depression can cause brain cells to malfunction. When your brain is in a constant state of stress or anxiety, the stem cells in your brain may begin to malfunction. When anxiety causes these cells to malfunction, the connection between the hippocampus and the amygdala becomes extremely rigid. I would want to know that, right? I would want to know that, because that plays into memory, right? Brain cells, you want to know if it's affecting your brain. You need your brain, right? So you can interact, you know, and interact from a conscious space where you are choosing to make these choices, to have these thoughts, to take these actions. You want your brain to be fully functional, and you want to know what you can do to improve it. Like, we're doing all these different improving our brains by doing different exercises, you know, mental exercises. Wouldn't you want to know if there's something that you're doing that is counter affecting it? Like, you know, if anxiety and stress is causing your brain to malfunction, you need to know that so you can address it. Because if you're feeding yourself the right stuff by doing these mental exercises to improve your brain capabilities, you want to know if in the same hand something else that you're doing is destroying it. So that's why I am sharing from my experience, so you can put just that word and term into something that's real, a real life person experiencing it, and letting you know to separate it from yourself, right? What caused it, and not to take it as your own and to do something to release it. Okay? The more I walk on this path, the more I'm fascinated about the different labels that I had took on as my own, that I'm shedding, that I'm just totally shedding. So here we go. Now I want to talk about impulsiveness. Yes, so here we go. Impulsivity is like, some words are like tongue-tied for me, so there we go. Impulsivity refers to acting without thinking first. Okay, so Why am I talking about that? So before I make the connection as to why I'm talking about that, I want to read a little bit about questions that I had searched to give us a deeper understanding of this word. So impulsivity is often accompanied by symptoms such as restlessness, hyperactivity, inattention, problems doing quiet activities, problems with executive function, talking excessively, and fidgeting. Okay, so that's a little bit of information on that. Here we go. Is impulsivity a real word? The quality of being easily swayed by emotional or involuntarily urges or by momentary desires without weighing them rationally. Insufficient sleep may increase the potential for risk-taking by compromising decision-making and increasing impulsivity. So there are things that can, of course, increase, you being more impulsive. But I want to go back a little bit where it says involuntary urges, momentary desires, without weighing them rationally, right? Without weighing them rationally. And you'll see the connection soon. So let me go to another one here. What is this one here? What are the symptoms of impulsivity? Impulsivity is often accompanied by symptoms as restlessness, yes, as I have said, problems with executive function. Remember that part right there. And so now I want to go and I want to read this here. Can impulsivity cause anxiety? Okay? Can it cause anxiety? Now, it says here, what causes impulsivity? Differing opinions within the mental health community. Studies suggest that chemicals in the brain, such as serotonin and dopamine, play a major role in impulsive control disorders. Okay? Now, that's just some information right there. So this is just me sharing my research with you guys and making an observation of how it has made itself present to me, right? So I'm constantly coming back to do this summary just so that I don't lose you guys in terms of how I'm connecting the dots, okay? So we're still connecting the dots here. There is this one right there. First, yeah, so we had addressed that one right there. There's one more that I want to read. Yes. Can anxiety cause impulsivity? Anxiety can cause impulsivity. Yes. Let's break it down. Anxiety is typically defined as a condition that causes a person to overthink. That definition wouldn't exactly lead you to think of impulsivity as a potential symptom, right? So anxiety actually does lots of things to make a person more likely to become impulsive. Listen to that right there. Experts believe that anxiety actually does lots of things to make a person more likely to become impulsive. More impulsive. Okay? And we already talked about impulsive. It refers to acting without thinking first. So when you get anxious, right? And when you're anxious, you're more likely to be impulsive because you're not having that, you're not having your brain go through the, okay, I feel this fear or I feel this worry. Let me first assess it, then take action. And if it's happening frequently, then it's putting you into a space of just responding out of impulse. And then what then happens, right? And if that's a default setting, that can be very harmful to yourself and to others, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, take the signs of where you are emotionally, mentally, physically seriously. Address your current state of health. It's good to feel, it's good to look good. Yeah. But it's also really good to go to your core. How are your organs doing? How are the cells in your brain doing? How are your thoughts? What are you thinking in there, right? And how is that affecting you physically? How is it affecting your heart? How is your heart? How is your heart in terms of your emotions? Is it affecting the organ itself? So it's very important that I share this with you guys, because it's important to me as I am discovering it. I am just so grateful. Okay? And so I had read previously to you guys how, let me just go back to it here, on how, it's affecting the executive function. So I want to find it and read it and then continue from there. Okay? So just bear with me and we'll get there together. Okay, here. The symptoms of impulsivity. The symptoms. Problems with executive function, right? Of course, we had restlessness. We know what that is. Hyperactivity. We know what that is. Inattention. Problems doing quiet activities. And so when I got to problems with executive function, I said, I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper into what is that referring to? What are you referring to? Okay, it says talking excessively and fidgeting. So we get that part too. And maybe some of you out there already understand the full understanding of executive function, and you are satisfied just reading and saying, oh, okay, I didn't know it affected, some of the symptoms was that it affects, there are problems with my executive function due to being impulsive. So let's dive into that. What does that mean? Okay, so I have gone ahead and I have looked into that. What is executive function and why is it important? So remember, we began with anxiety and then we went into impulsiveness, and we understood that being impulsive can trigger anxiety, right? Or one before the other. So how they have that correlation. And then as we were learning more about the impulsive behavior of just responding or taking an action without fully assessing and pausing first, we understood that it can cause you to have problems with your executive function. So here, what is executive function and why is it important? A person's executive functioning skills make it possible for them to live, to work, and to learn with an appropriate level of independence and competence for their age. Allow you to have your normal function that is appropriate to the level of your independence and the competence that you are supposed to reach and have at your age. Executive functioning allows people to access information, think about solutions, and implement those solutions. Just listen to that. Just listen to that. That almost makes me want to cry. Sometimes when we see people struggling, we automatically criticize and we judge. Not that we do or that we once did. How about that? And we don't understand that it could be something deeper than just they don't have it. Even if someone doesn't have something, that's not a reason to say, oh, you don't have that or you don't know that. You don't understand a person's struggle. They may not even understand. So this video and these videos that I'm doing, my first priority in these videos, is empowering those of you that are tuning in and watching. I want to empower you. Okay? My goal